It had been quite a while since we'd made the journey to see my in-laws, tucked away in a different state. Our young daughter was practically bouncing with excitement, eager to spend time with her adored grandma. As Thanksgiving drew closer, we all felt the familiar warmth of anticipation, like a comforting hug that promises the joys of a family reunion. Despite the joy, the journey had been long, and by the time the sun started to set, we were all feeling the weight of the road trip. We were in need of a place to recuperate, and just then, we noticed it. A grand hotel by the roadside. Its majestic silhouette stood tall against the evening sky, creating an intriguing contrast that sparked our curiosity. Unbeknownst to us, we were about to have a truly memorable night. Stepping into the hotel, an uneasy feeling washed over me. The lobby was dimly lit, and a strange atmosphere hung in the air. The receptionist, an old man with a weary face, greeted us with a nod, not uttering a single word. He silently took our card and handed us the keys to our room on the 7th floor. There was something unsettling about the old man and the hotel itself, but we dismissed our unease and headed towards the elevator, hoping for a peaceful night's sleep after a long day of travel. Little did we know, dark secrets lurked within the confines of that elevator, secrets that would make us question the safety of our stay. Stepping into the elevator, we were greeted by a dimly lit space that exuded an eerie ambiance. The air felt thick and heavy, as if it held secrets from long ago. The walls were marked with faded designs and scratches, like silent messages that spoke of a mysterious past. With a trembling hand, I pressed the button for our floor, hoping to swiftly reach the sanctuary of our room. However, as the doors closed and the elevator began its ascent, an unsettling silence settled around us, broken only by the faint hum of the machinery. Suddenly, it stopped abruptly on the 6th floor. The doors opened to reveal a pitch-black corridor. I held my daughter tightly, a sense of fear overwhelming me. Confused and alarmed, my husband pressed the close button repeatedly, but the elevator remained motionless. Panic surged through our veins as the lights flickered and dimmed, plunging us into an unsettling semi-darkness. It was in that moment, surrounded by the cold metal walls, that we felt an inexplicable presence, a ghostly chill that crawled up our spines. Our gazes darted nervously, searching for any sign of normalcy, but what awaited us was far from ordinary. To our horror, a ghostly figure materialized in the corridor. Its thin face and empty eyes filled us with terror. My daughter screamed and cried, clutching onto me as we retreated to the farthest corner of the elevator. My husband continued pressing the close button until, finally, the doors closed. As the elevator finally reached our desired floor, we stepped out with shaky legs, our minds filled with fear and worry. We quickly entered our room, relieved that nothing else had happened. My husband called the receptionist to recount what had occurred, but his response lacked surprise. He simply urged us to rest. However, sleep evaded us that night. We remained awake until sunrise, counting down the minutes until we could escape that dreadful place. As soon as the first rays of morning light shone through our room's window, we hastily checked out. As we drove away and bid farewell to that cursed hotel, we carried with us the haunting memories of our encounter. The hotel, consumed by darkness, awaited its next victims, ready to ensnare them in a terrifying experience that would haunt them forever. I had just finished an exhausting 5-day work event, barely managing to get 10 hours of sleep in total. I desperately needed a break, so I planned a trip out of the country to recharge my weary body and mind. The hotel looked old and tired, standing dark and gloomy against the night sky. Its paint was faded and cracked, and the windows seemed dirty and stained. As I walked inside, the hallway was dimly lit, and the carpet felt damp and squishy under my feet. The flickering lights overhead made strange buzzing sounds, and the walls had peeling wallpaper and strange marks on them. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever, with doors that looked even older and more worn as I went along. It was so quiet, except for the faint sound of the air conditioning and distant murmurs. When I finally reached my room, the door made a creepy, creaking sound as I opened it, and the room was dimly lit. The furniture looked old and tired, and the bed seemed saggy and worn out. Once I settled in, the room felt heavy and still, as if something was lingering in the air. Shadows danced on the walls, creating spooky shapes that made me feel uneasy. The hotel's appearance matched its creepy vibe, a rundown building hiding a darkness that I had yet to discover. I collapsed onto the bed, craving a peaceful slumber. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of the scary things that awaited me inside those walls. In the middle of the night, I was abruptly awoken by the shrill ringing of the motel phone. Groggy and disoriented, I picked up the receiver, and a voice on the other end claimed there had been a noise complaint. Confusion washed over me as I assured them that it couldn't have been me. I had been fast asleep. The voice persisted, suggesting that there might be someone else in the room, causing a ruckus. I quickly denied it, insisting that I was alone and hadn't heard a single noise. But the voice persisted, growing more desperate, almost begging me to confirm my solitude and innocence. A chill crawled up my spine, but exhaustion took hold, and I drifted back to sleep. As the morning light seeped through the curtains, a lingering unease settled within me. The memory of the strange phone call tugged at my mind, urging me to investigate further. I scanned the room, and that's when I noticed it. A series of faint scratches on the door, as if someone had clawed at it in a frantic attempt to break in. Fear gripped me as the realization dawned. I could have been the target of a sinister plot. I hurriedly called the motel's reception and reported the incident to the motel staff. But their dismissive response only deepened my growing unease. From that moment on, a sense of dread hung heavy in the air. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind intensified my paranoia. I felt as though unseen eyes were watching my every move, waiting for the right moment to strike. Grateful for the extra lock on the door, I held onto it tightly, like my only hope. It provided a small shield, a weak barrier against what I couldn't comprehend. My mind buzzed with questions. Who exactly wanted to break in? And I can only imagine what they would do to me, if they managed to succeed, that is. I checked out hurriedly that morning, skipping breakfast. As I continued my journey, this bone-chilling incident served as a stark reminder that danger can lurk in the most unassuming places. The world, with its hidden mysteries and lurking terrors, demands constant vigilance. May you tread carefully, my friends, for behind every closed door lies the potential for unimaginable horrors or extraordinary adventures. Several years ago, my college roommate, Emily, worked as the night manager for a newly built hotel. As was our routine, I would often swing by with a cup of coffee in hand, arriving around the late hours of 1 or 2 a.m., ready to engage in late-night conversations that only night owls could appreciate. One fateful night, I entered the hotel to find Emily sitting at the front desk, her head shaking in utter disbelief. I could tell by the look on her face that she was completely puzzled, like she had seen something she couldn't understand. Intrigued, I asked her what was wrong, and she started telling me about a strange encounter that would leave us questioning reality itself. According to Emily, a guest had just checked in, who bore a striking resemblance to our other roommate, Megan. It was as if Megan's doppelganger had stepped into the hotel, presenting an uncanny resemblance in every aspect. With their striking similarity in height, hairstyle, eye color, and even southern accent, the resemblance between them was so eerie that it gave Emily an unsettling feeling. She couldn't resist the urge to speak with the new guest and show her a picture of Megan on her phone, hoping to unravel the mystery. However, her attempts were met with resistance and denial, as the guest dismissed any similarities and refused to engage in further conversation. Emily and I brushed it off as a strange coincidence, knowing well that Megan was out of town, visiting her parents, and couldn't possibly be at the hotel. Our coffee break continued as we enjoyed our late-night conversation, seemingly undisturbed by the eerie encounter. It wasn't until I decided to head home around 2:30 a.m. that things took an unsettling turn. As I pulled into our garage and finally had a chance to check my phone, a series of frantic texts from Emily greeted me. The messages, sent at 2:17 a.m., were filled with urgency and confusion. Stop. Not funny. You guys suck. What the hell? Naturally, I was baffled and immediately called her back, desperately seeking answers. As I listened to Emily's trembling voice on the other end of the line, my heart sank. She recounted a chilling event that had transpired moments after I left the hotel. Incredibly, Emily claimed that both Megan and I, dressed in the exact same attire I had worn earlier, suddenly appeared at the end of the hallway, not moving an inch. Our eyes were locked onto her, never blinking, as if we were frozen beings haunting her in that eerie moment. She called out to us, expecting a response or some hint of a prank, but we remained silent, unresponsive to her calls. The tension reached its peak when the phone at the front desk rang, diverting Emily's attention for a mere moment. In that fleeting moment, when she turned back to face the hallway, both Megan and I had vanished without a trace. I did my best to calm Emily over the phone, assuring her that everything would be okay. Yet, deep inside, I was plagued by a sense of unease, unable to shake the enigmatic nature of the events that had unfolded. The next morning, Emily and I meticulously went through all possible explanations, attempting to rationalize what she had witnessed. We struggled to make sense of the doppelganger-like guest and the inexplicable appearance of Megan and me in the hotel hallway. As we searched for logical answers, the strange occurrences lingered, haunting our thoughts and unsettling our souls. In an unexpected twist, the guest who had resembled Megan returned to the front desk the following morning, seeking assistance and inquiring about hotel services. To Emily's surprise, the guest now only vaguely resembled Megan, and any trace of the uncanny resemblance had faded. It was a perplexing revelation that left us with more questions than answers. However, the eerie events didn't stop at the hotel. There was one more unsettling detail that I never shared with Emily, for fear of deepening her distress. When I entered our house that night, the kitchen clock caught my attention. Its hands were frozen at 2:17, the exact time Emily had sent those frantic texts. Next to the clock sat a photograph of Megan and me, taken only that afternoon, capturing our smiles frozen in time. The coincidence sent shivers down my spine, leaving me haunted by the inexplicable events that had unfolded. To this day, we remain without explanations, forever carrying the unease that lingers in our hearts. The hotel returned to its usual state of normalcy, and no further peculiar incidents occurred. Yet, the memory of that night continues to cast a shadow over our lives. A reminder that reality can often be stranger and more unsettling than we dare to imagine.